Barbara Courtney with Children of Incarcerated Parents. I just want to thank you for being part of our audience, Miss Lacy. I'm excited about our guest this evening. Miss Lacy is an author of a book called Jump, and is My Secret Journey from the Streets to the Boardroom. And she's one of the co-authors with her father. And so I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Lacy. And first of all, let me just say thank you for just being willing to be part of this interview, taking out of your busy schedule.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me on. It is an honor to meet you. I'm just very thankful that you asked to speak to me. I am very, very thankful for the work that you do, and I would love to, in any way that I can, amplify your voice and the work that you're doing, because I think it's extremely important. So thank you for having me.
Can you give us, our audience, a little bit about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up at. Even though I was reading some of it, I didn't realize I forgot, but you used to be a teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us a background about yourself growing up into the present?
Yes, I was born and raised in West Philadelphia, product of the Philadelphia public school system. Give a shout out to Central High School. It's it's kind of a big deal for us back home. So that was, my origin. From there, I moved on to Howard University. I'm a proud Bison. I came out in, I'm not going to say what year, but in the mid to late 90s. I graduated from Howard. And then I began teaching. At first, it was substituting, and then I kind of got involved in a charter school in Harlem. It was called the Family Academy, and I taught seventh grade reading there for a couple of years. I moved out to California just because I was young and wanting to see things. So I moved to Los Angeles in the very late 90s. Thought about teaching, but decided to go a different route. So I started my career in mortgage banking, and I worked as an account executive in a few different banks for several years, until by my third child, I decided that the hardcore, corporate lifestyle was just not very conducive to motherhood for me. I had trouble balancing it all out. So I was lucky enough and had the privilege to be able to stay at home with my kids until very recently. While raising them, I took that time to write this book. So it was a very long process, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm just thankful that I had the time to do it, because it was something that I had been asking my father for many, many years to do on his own, or to work with someone to get it done. And ultimately, he asked me to do it, which I didn't realize at the time was probably the best situation for both of us, because I don't think he would have been able to open up to a stranger in quite the same way. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got here.
Well, when I was reading, because I see you guys on Tamara Hall.
Okay.
And I went right on Amazon and ordered the book. I was so excited about it. But you really impressed me, because when he said you encouraged him, you had been telling him to write the book or tell his story, his secret.
Yes.
And can you give us some detail about how you was feeling when he started sharing his story? Because to me, he was in a powerful place that he could trust you to tell about his life, even because you was a child. You was what, 2 years old?
Yes, I remember visiting my father in Greater First State Penitentiary outside of Philadelphia when I was very small, probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Just when I was very young, I have memories of going to see him with my mom, and I remember him coming home for good. I've always kind of known his background. I've always known that, he was away for something that he had done. But I never really knew the details of it. And so throughout the process of writing this book, he shared with me and now everybody um, some of the darkest moments of his life. And so it was difficult to hear at some time at certain points. It was very emotional. It was painful. I'm a mother. I have a son. I have two daughters and a son. But at certain points, as he was revealing the story to me, and as I was writing it and working with him on it, all I could see was my son's face. Because and I think that's a thing that we all tend to do. We see something traumatic that happens and we personalize it, or oh my God, that could have been me, that could have been him. So there was a lot of it was a lot of emotion in getting the story down and getting through it and processing it, but ultimately I wouldn't trade this process for anything. I mean, it was priceless to be able to get to know my father in his own words, on a level that I never had. He was away a lot when I was small. And I was thankful that he was able to come home, through my teenage years, but we had, been estranged and had different issues in the past. So now as an adult, as a parent, and watching him as a grandfather now, I just feel like I've learned so much, and I'm so inspired by him and by his process. And I really, really wanted to share that with other people. He is an inspiration to myself, my entire family, and has been for decades as we've watched him turn himself into the man that he is today. So, I learned from him. I listened to him. I get so much just out of his presence. I had always encouraged him to just start writing this stuff down. And he wasn't going to do it. He's just busy. He's a busy guy. And he's to this day just very, very active. And, I guess I don't think he ever would have had the time to sit down and do it alone. Um, or maybe someday, who knows? But it just seemed like as he was climbing up in his career and becoming more and more powerful and more successful, there was no doubt in my mind that his story could inspire somebody. So I'm just thankful that he was willing to share something so deeply personal and allow me to be a part of it.
Can you share with us who your father is and what?
Yes, ma'am. My father is Larry Miller. He is the chairman of the Jordan Brand Advisory Board. He was one of the founding fathers, they call him, of the Jordan Brand. He was the president of the brand for decades, and he took a short hiatus from there and went and became the president of the Portland Trailblazers. He did that for, I think, 5 or 6 years, and then returned to Jordan and decided that he wanted to kind of step down from running the brand, from the president's role. They didn't let him go. They instead created an advisory board and made him the chairman of it so that he could still be involved and very, very strategically involved in the brand, but he doesn't have to do the day-to-day business of running it. So yeah, that's my dad.
So when you was interviewing, recording, he was telling his story, you just share how emotional you got because you have a Black son as well.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
Since you guys has written this book, Jump, what have been your experience?
We've had the opportunity to spend time together, to travel together, to talk and do interviews like this one together. And I'm, like I said, I'm still learning from him every single day. He's a brilliant man. He's a brilliant marketing strategist. He's extremely wise, and I'm just thankful that I've had the opportunity to spend this much more time with him and learn and kind of soak up more, and then process it and share it with everyone else who's listening or who might read our book.
Yeah, but also I can just, when he was on camera, he gave you your flowers too, how powerful you were and how you encouraged him. And that was one of the reasons that I really wanted to reach out to you, because just hearing you talk about your father and the love that I heard, and how he was even encouraging, how that secret was you telling him, encouraging him for years to tell the secret. Even when he told it to Michael Jordan and everybody else, they encouraged him. But you really was the armor bearer to me behind it, to encourage him to that he trusts and was able to tell his daughter what he had did.
Yes. Thank you. It's very, I'm sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
It's very, it was very important to me that his story be told in his words. So many times, especially now, there are no secrets pretty much. Everything about everybody is pretty much available to anybody who wants to look. So I just always had a feeling that at some point, this information is going to come out. Someday, it might be 100 years from now. At some point, this will be, a thing that is just known. And it was very important to me that he present his story in his own way, with his own words, as opposed to someone else saying it and then the rest of us saying, no, that's not exactly how. So that's why it was really a relief to me when we were finally able to complete it and get his words down on paper and say, this is it, this is me. And, everybody, whoever has an opinion, of course they can have it, but these are his words of his own life. And so that was extremely important to me, to make sure that I was able to do that, especially while his memories are so crispy clear. Like it was the perfect opportunity for me to record him and tell his life.
Well, again, I commend you. I really do. I really admire you. And I'm just going to be honest, when I first reached out to you, and I was like, okay, if she respond, it's okay if she don't respond. And you responded in a few days. And ever since last year, we connected, and your personality has just been, to me, so marvelous that one day I said, now, if this is a scammer, she's a good one. And I'm going to still embrace her because I like her personality.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I know that you guys travel and you giving back to the community. And I commend you for that too. And before we wrap up, I want to say to you, and as you continue to seek your journey, that my prayers gonna always be with you and your family. I think you, and I'm not just saying it, I think you're amazing. And I do appreciate you reaching back out to me. And I'm not gonna let you go.
No, please stay in touch. And I thank you for the work that you do. It's so important that our children are not forgotten. It's I'm blanking on the statistic, but it is statistically shown that children of incarcerated parents tend to become involved in the criminal justice system as well. So anything that we can do to try to fortify them, protect them, and guide them away from what is laid out for them is crucial. It's imperative, and it's superhero work. So to me, you're a superhero.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that, because if we have 2.7 million children that's impacted by parents that's incarcerated, but we have 10 million children has touched the incarceration system, and it doesn't get talked about enough. We talk about mass incarceration, but the children are falling through the cracks. And that's my passion. And I do it with all my heart, because I was part of that project as well. And my children was impacted by it. And I really, again, admire you guys. I don't want to sound redundant, but as we wrapping up, if you had a thought or a quote that you always use for us as a community, what would you say?
I like to quote Brian Stevenson. He's one of my heroes, and he said, "Each one of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done," and that just always in my heart rings true, because first of all, we've all made mistakes. Everyone has, there's nobody walking the earth who has not done something that they regret. People may or may not know about it, but it's they've done it. We've all done something that we're not proud of. But when people are impacted by the criminal justice system, they tend to be marked for life. Whether after they've paid their debt, after they've been punished and they've served their time, they still walk with this scarlet letter that prevents them many times from turning their lives around and showing the world what it is that they can do. So I feel like if every person could just sort of start to reevaluate the way that they see formerly incarcerated people, it'll sort of have some kind of a ripple effect where perhaps their lives won't be impacted forever in quite the same way, in quite the same negative way. And they'll have an opportunity to shine whatever light it is that they have, as opposed to just being marked forever for a mistake that they've made.
Well, thank you so much again for this interview. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, ma'am. Please reach out. Please stay in touch.
Yes, I will.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. So have a blessed weekend and enjoy your family and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Same to you.
I'm one of your cheerleaders as well.
No, I'm your cheerleader. I'm one of your cheerleaders.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be calling you because I want to talk to you.
Okay. Yes, please do. All right. You have a good weekend too.
You too. Bye.
Right, bye-bye.
This is brought to you by Africana Art.